This is Fiona from IELTS with Fiona and the Members Academy, and in this week's short podcast we're looking at a grammar point that came up last week during the Halloween season. Now, I read a few articles about Halloween and I found that it has a negative impact on the environment. And as I read through the articles, I noticed an interesting grammar or language item coming up quite a lot, and I thought it would be useful for Academic Writing Task 1. So when we look at some of this research, one of the articles says why Halloween waste is the scariest monster of them all. And the point was that we buy all of this plastic stuff for one night, which is Halloween, and then we chuck it, we throw it away, and it's not recycled, it goes to landfill. And there are some quite shocking statistics about that. So listen to these 5 examples and tell me what you notice about how they describe the statistics. So the first one was a shocking 83% of Halloween costumes use non-recyclable plastics. A horrifying 2,000 tons of plastic waste will end up in landfill. A staggering 900,000 tons of pumpkins are discarded every year. Pumpkin waste amounts to an astonishing £1.3 billion. Growing pumpkins demands an alarming 2.4 gallons of water per hectare. So in those 5 sentences, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the sentences, they all have a number, a statistic, like 83% or 2,000 tons. And before the number, they put an adjective: shocking, horrifying, staggering, astonishing, alarming. And then there's an article before the adjective: a shocking 83%, a horrifying 2,000 tons, a staggering 900,000 tons, which seems quite odd, but it's perfectly grammatically correct and can be used when you want to say something about the number. You want to reflect your opinion about the number. So they're usually negative: a shocking, horrifying, staggering. It means you're surprised by the number. Astonishing, alarming. So you can use this to express an emotional or evaluative reaction. Evaluative meaning you're evaluating. Is it big? Is it shocking? Is it surprising? Is it good? And it helps add emphasis to your perspective, what you're thinking, how you're describing the data. It reveals your surprise, your concern, your excitement, or other feelings about the statistic. Now, I think I mentioned they're usually negative, but you can see in the examples list there are a few, well, actually just one, an impressive 92% of renewable energy targets were met. There's a disappointing 34% of students completed their degree. A troubling 46% of food produced globally goes to waste. So it's really common and can be useful. I know in task 1 you're not supposed to show your opinion. But having said that, if there is a statistic in the chart that you think is quite surprising or shocking, then of course you can use this language item. So for example, sales rose by a staggering 500%. So you're saying this 500% is a very high percentage. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to analyze the charts. The opposite of a staggering could be a mere. This is is less common, advanced, but I do see my students using it. A mere, M-E-R-E, so a mere 1% emphasizes how small or insignificant this percentage is. So that's it. That's the grammar point. If you're still listening, I'm just going to go through a few more things that came up in these articles. And I do have a link to my Google Doc where I've put all of those articles so you can read them yourself. For example, in this one, it talks about the carbon footprint of Halloween. So there's some really useful vocabulary here related to IELTS. I've put those in bold for you. It says, take the iconic symbol of Halloween, the carved pumpkin, for example. So I use that expression, take something, for example, when I'm encouraging my students to use real examples to illustrate their point. It's a significant contributor to landfill. So this word landfill is really important. Things end up in landfill, or they go straight to landfill. And that's one way of saying something is bad for the environment. Other ways, it says the majority of the pumpkins Americans pick will go to waste. And you can see it here, they end up discarded. That's a nice phrasal verb, but useful to say something just finishes its life being thrown away and not recycled. The majority of pumpkins go to waste. That's another synonym, go to waste. And then what exacerbates this issue? That's a nice word. It means what makes this issue worse is the excessive water consumption. All of this is IELTS involved in pumpkin cultivation. So growing pumpkins uses a lot of water, for example, for irrigation, that's watering the crops, and the final harvest. So there's lots of lovely vocabulary here. I'll put this link for you. And then the last article was a frightening impact on the planet. And it's quite funny. It tries to use Halloween vocabulary. It has a frightful impact on the environment. The scary tale of single use. That's nice. Single use plastic, for example, you use it once and then you throw it away. It has a terrifying environmental cost, and it's one-time use. They are quickly discarded. Again, discarded meaning thrown away. And then it talks about the problem. They persist in the environment. They don't biodegrade, taking up space in landfills, finding their way into the oceans. They have a long lifespan, and this adds to the critical issue of plastic pollution and its detrimental effects. Learn that. If you learn just one thing from today's podcast, learn detrimental effects on our planet. So do go and have a look at that. It's useful language. And if you're listening in November, I'm doing a prepositions challenge throughout November, and we're learning 10 prepositional phrases a day. It's completely free. Follow me on Instagram, and you can also find them in my daily tips. So thanks very much for listening today. Do let me know if you've got any questions or any requests that you'd like me to help you with. Okay, bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.